we have talked a lot on this channel about Disney and its many, many failings. But I am personally of the hope that the company will eventually learn to pull its butt out of its butt. And maybe that day is today. Who's to say? Doing lots of fun rhymes. Now, some of you may or may not remember, but back in early 2025, Disney decided to stop production of its live-action adaptation of the film Tangled, which was originally released in 2010. For those of you who don't know, Tangled is Disney.
Bro, this is like all they do now. They just take shit that they already made and try to remake it and reserve it. It's so gross. Like, imagine taking leftovers and not just heating them up, right? It's not just like they took the old movie and then decided to like re-promote it or re-release it in theaters, which they could do. They could say, you guys loved this movie so much in 2011, we're now gonna pay a bunch of theaters to rescreen it. They're deciding to make a new adaptation of it, which nobody asked for, right? It's like taking the leftover chicken and then trying to make a different meal out of it rather than just heating it up. It's not working. No one likes it.
Disney's version of Rapunzel, and it's very cute. And I like the horse Maximus, and Mother Gothel is kind of a vibe. I don't know what to tell you. The original film did reasonably well with audiences, grossing almost $600 million, which is likely why Disney decided it would take a run at it as its next remake victim. However, and I do always love when there's a however, after their remake of Snow White fell in an absolute heap this year, Disney finally got the message, it seems, that people were over the whole live-action adaptation thing. And more specifically, live-action adaptations that have improperly cast.
Do you guys have remake fatigue? Like, are you guys tired of them remaking the same fucking movie every single year? Holy shit, man. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, I live near a movie theater, and I walk by it, and outside they have posters for upcoming films. I see so many films that are not new. It's just the same thing that was already made, remade. So it's like you're advertising something that I've already fucking seen.
The actresses and
movie remakes are dumb, but I wish they'd make more old video games. Yeah, those things, I mean, that's way different though. Like, when you remake a video game, you're like redoing pretty core aspects of what made it entertaining in the first place. Maybe you keep the story, right? But like, for instance, the Resident Evil 4 remake, let's do a few things with this, right? The first thing is that the Resident Evil 4 remake came, I think, 20 or 15 or something years after the original. So the original had ample time to age, okay? And when you remake a video game, in a lot of ways, you are giving people a new and improved product, right? Like, on today's hardware, an old game getting re-released can be refreshing and also kind of different. I think with movies, it's hard to do that. You can make it new, right? Like, you can redo it, but usually people, when they reference something old to something new, they say the new thing is new and improved. It's not often improved, right?
Creepy CGI people. What am I looking at here? I also have to add for the 40th time at this stage that I don't quite understand what's live action about a film that is still majority animated. Right. I don't like this. Anyway, Disney went ahead and decided to pause Tangled, which weirdly enough brought relief to a bunch of people. There are entire Reddit threads of people celebrating. I'm not sure what to make of this, but you know, it's here on the internet for you to see. And to some, of course, the timing of this pull was a little bit weird because, number one, if you don't have anything to hide, then why hide anything at all? Which is why there was also a ton of speculation that this Rapunzel would have been anything but white. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your braids, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw us your weave, maybe? Which, you know, you can't blame people for making that assumption, given Disney's recent track record. How did this man produce this many different racial children? Someone please explain this to me. And honestly, this wasn't even too far off base, given that black actress Francesca Rivers was potentially going to play Rapunzel in the remake of Tangled.
There's no way.
Now, the reason that I don't want to harp on this too much is because it was completely speculative. I could not find any good or trustworthy sources reporting on this.
Well, you're not crazy for assuming Disney would do that, because if you speculatively guessed they did it about The Little Mermaid, you would have been right. It's one of those things where they say, you're crazy until you're right, and then you're a genius. So I don't think it would be crazy, especially knowing what we know about Disney and what they already have done, that they would do it again. Plus, it's become sort of the industry standard when you're remaking something that you should be race swapping core actors and core roles within the property, right?
And it may just well have been an internet rumor, but it does go to show that people have been subjected to this so much that they fully believed that Disney would be so crazy as to cast this woman in this role, which
what are you going to do with a new movie? New cast, new narrative that changes the entire character of the film. You can give a game the same story and rework it with modern mechanics and graphics and people will go bonkers, i.e. Oblivion. Yeah, exactly, right?
Obviously makes zero sense. And number two, it's like Snow White was not the first remake at all to fail, so if its failure was so big that it caused the company to reevaluate, well, I have some questions around that. Why go back to doing remakes at all? I don't know. Disney are just, they're money grubby, guys. They're very money grubby. But because it's the modern era, and despite fans and viewers begging for new well-written content and stories and productions, Hollywood has apparently learned nothing, and instead Tangled is back on the books.
Is this
but
true?
Apparently it will be different this time. According to Hollywood insider Matthew Belloni, Disney is about to cast new Rapunzel in the revived live-action remake Tangled, and I'll bet you the price of that long-braided wig that the gig will go to a white actress. This is what he wrote. That's a quote. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
That's hilarious. Disney is set to hire a white actress to star in its latest reboot after dumping DEI amid woke fury. So let's do some reasoning here, okay? Do we think that it was definitely happening and then they realized that, wait a second, hold on, who like, I feel like this is what happened, okay? I feel like there was a big push. I don't know any of this. Again, just completely speculative, okay? I think there was probably a group of people that were trying to make the new Rapunzel a black woman, right? And then it became the plan. And then powerful people who are not oblivious to how bad their company's been tanking, said change of plans, and now the plans are changed. Do we think that's what happened, chat? I think there was definitely a push to do this, and then the push was stopped by people who realized this would literally be this would be their funeral. Disney is set to hire a white actress to star in its latest reboot after dumping DEI amid woke fury. Like, this only happens after they made the most disastrous reboot of all time. Actually, you can say back-to-back disastrous reboots, right? The Little Mermaid caused outrage, and people want to claim it's racist outrage. That's just it. Like, that's its own conversation as to how ridiculous of an argument that is. Then there's Snow White, which is also was terrible, right? It literally was so poorly performing that I think this is why we're having this headline. Like, I think they would try to do a race swap yet again for, like, Tangled, right? Like, for Rapunzel, but they literally are looking at the numbers and they're saying, well, even if this is what we want to do, in terms of our finances, we can't. We literally cannot. Like, we know that it would underperform and we cannot take that chance, right? So my guess, it's very likely that there was a plot to make the Rapunzel actress not white, and then people more powerful than those who pitched that said, no, we can't. It's a money issue. Snow White has single-handedly ruined the live-action genre. Yeah, I think they've cooked Disney pretty hard.
To Hollywood insider Matthew Belloni, Disney is about to cast new Rapunzel in the revived live-action remake Tangled, and I'll bet you the price of that long-braided wig that the gig will go to a white actress. This is what he wrote. That's a quote. Sorry if that wasn't clear. The headline I also have on screen here is much more succinct, which says, Disney is set to hire a white actress to star in its latest reboot after dumping DEI amid woke fury. Also accurate. I mean, yeah, you'd think so, given that Rapunzel's whole story is around her being blonde with long hair.
That's true.
Typically white people are blonde. I don't know about the long hair part, but definitely the blonde part. See?
That's true. Like, the problem is that people will get upset if you call something like Snow White being Latino or The Little Mermaid being black DEI, but they will simultaneously argue for it for the same reasons that people argue for DEI, right? Like, the reasons that people argue for DEI are things like diversity, representation, showing a broader span of cultures, and making sure that we're including people from all walks of life, right? Not just just the predominant cultures and races, okay? And they'll say that for things like hiring in the workforce and things of that nature. Yet, simultaneously, when you call it DEI for them to place or really replace a white star with a black star, they'll say, well, no, it's not DEI, but then they'll say it's good for the same reasons that they think DEI is good. So it literally is DEI. And DEI, diversity can be good. People say diversity is a strength. I'll say it's sometimes a strength, okay? I don't think that it's always a strength. I think diversity can be good, it can be bad, but to call it good always is stupid. Nothing is good always, especially when we're talking about the workforce, okay? The only thing you would say is like universal about something that you want in the workforce is like, they're good at their fucking job, right? That's why they say DEIs didn't earn it, because their race and ethnicity or sexual orientation really has no relation to how good they'll be at a job. Unless we're talking about like people who are they, them making lattes, okay? That's probably a good sign. The blue hair Starbucks employees are pretty good at making lattes. We'll have to give them that. And white guys are pretty good at flying airplanes, and black people are pretty good at playing basketball. Like why are people afraid to admit that certain races are good at certain things? I can't stand this. When people want to act like bashful about it, they're like, well, we can't truly say that this group of people is they're exceptional at this specific thing. It's like, yeah, you can actually, and you should. Like, people deserve their praises for things that their group have accomplished and become good at, right?
Dumping DEI amid woke.
Anyway.
I don't know about the long hair part, but definitely the blonde part. Same with redheads. Oh, I forgot. We don't care about things like that anymore. Ignore me. Full disclosure, all of this is speculative at this stage, but Baloney adds, oh my god, I just realized that his name sounds like bologna. Like the food bologna. It's not spelled like that, but that's all I can think of now. Anyway, yeah, so he adds that he got his hands on an internal email distributed within Disney, which basically said that it was disbanding its DEI initiatives, and the company intended to empower everyone instead of select groups. Okay, better late than never.
So Sonia Coleman, Disney's top HR executive, sent a company-wide email revealing a broad rebrand of her unit and its terminology. A lot of it was the usual silly corporate speak about the large publicly traded company's people-first philosophy and innovative approach to enabling success. Language that likely resulted from dozens of meetings and millions of dollars in consulting fees. Human resources becomes people and culture. Coleman's email read, talent acquisition becomes talent connection, and so on. Okay, so basically what are they? They're just changing the way that they do DEI.
Yes. In short, Baloney said that Disney is very afraid of Trump and Elon and the culture war that it is currently losing. Can't imagine for the life of me why they'd be losing the culture war. Yeah. Baloney.
I don't know if that email is like real or if this whistleblower is telling the truth or even if there is a whistle to be blown. All I can say is that the reason that someone would lie about this is that it sounds believable, right? And when something's believable, it's because, it's for a reason. Disney, while they may not have said that directly, what the fuck have they been pushing for the past 5 years to a decade? Yeah. Right?
Baloney? Baloney?
All right.
Baloney also gave a bunch of examples of the ways Disney has recently shifted away from its diversity initiatives, gutting film development areas that might get the company into trouble, removing its Reimagine Tomorrow website that served as a hub for diversity initiatives, and I will assume she'll probably be an accurate-looking Rapunzel, at least.
You know what's super interesting? When she says they're not going to do this because it will get them in trouble, what that literally means is that they want to do it, but they know people will be angry. Like parents will be angry, for instance, if the show they catch their children watching by Disney is pushing an agenda that they disapprove of, right? That's what Disney's afraid of. The Disney's afraid of people finding out. They're not afraid about trying it. They're afraid about people finding out and them losing shareholder value, right? Their stock plummeting or their subscription model failing, like on Disney Plus or something like that, right? Again, this is not like a principled stance. Like they are not like trying to do less DEI because they've done some brainstorming and they find that it's not very good. It's more so that they know that it's not good for their sales, right? Or that it's not good for their company's health. And by that, we can look at like their health finance-wise, their health culture-wise, etc. And that's why people say go woke, go broke, because a lot of the times what that like people are just like companies are afraid to do something woke just because of the, inverse relationship it has to the value of their company.
Diversity initiatives, and I will assume she'll probably be an accurate-looking Rapunzel, at least as far as the Tangled movie goes. Which oddly shouldn't be controversial, but it is, because, I don't know, I guess everything is dumb. and irrational. The bottom line is that apparently after getting kicked repeatedly in the head by audiences and having horrifically bad performing movies and content, Disney is finally somewhat leaning into what people have been asking for. Or in the very least, their pockets hurt enough that they have finally realized that what they're doing is not working. That being destroying beloved classics, race-swapping.
If they drop another bomb like this, they are actually fucked. Disney is, in some cases, too big to fail, but ultimately, they aren't too big to fuck up. And this is one big fuck up for one big company. I don't know if they have any more big fuck ups in the near future. They don't have much wiggle room right now. It's crunch time for them. The past 5 years have been a shit show, and it's time for them to clean up their act. That's what I truly think. I don't know if they have that much more room for putting out complete dog shit. Like Marvel, they've been putting out some shitty movies, and you can argue that Marvel's dead, but they're still Marvel, right? Like, they could recover. They have room, I guess, to make a couple of shitty movies. Disney overall, I don't think is at that point anymore. Like, I do think that they've been slowly killing their company. It's been like a slow death, a slow bleed. And it's getting to a point where I would argue they're kind of at like a critical stage. They really do have to turn it around more than ever.
Characters left and right, getting overly political and appealing to the activists outside and inside their company, which is obviously a failing initiative. And now they're making an attempt to purge all the things that got them in hot water over the last little while and led to the numerous and catastrophic box office failures that they've had, like Lightyear and Snow White. And obviously, Disney isn't just doing this with relation to its princess films. Some of you might remember a video I made towards the end of August where I told you all that Disney was on the hunt for new original IP in an effort to win back or win over, maybe for the first time, Gen Z men. Yes, the very demographic they have been calling racist and sexist for years now. Yes, it is a true mystery why the menfolk are not interested. Truly, I am shocked. Again, the revelation was extremely ironic given the nature of the two major male-orientated media properties Disney controls, that being Star Wars and Marvel. And
millennials love this shit. They love Star Wars. They love Star Trek. They love Harry Potter. They love all this stuff. And I don't think Gen Z has an equivalent franchise that they love to the extent that millennials love Star Wars. And maybe that's a good thing because I think Star Wars Funko Pop collecting 30-something-year-olds are part of the reason our country is in a steep decline. But simultaneously, it is sort of strange to be in Gen Z and not have a common denominator of like movie or TV show that I can connect with my fellow Gen Zer with, right? I mean, obviously you can say, hey, have you seen this? And someone might say yes, but dude, if you ask a fucking millennial if they've seen Star Wars, it's like asking a fish if they've swam. Like, yeah, they've seen Star Wars. Yes, they love Star Wars.
Male-orientated media properties Disney controls, that being Star Wars and Marvel. And maybe Indiana Jones to a lesser extent? Do we still like him? Is that still like the collective thing? Do people like him? I mean, I do.
Never watched it.
Daddy Jones can grace my television screen anytime he wants. The young version. That one with the hat and the quippy quips. If you would like to watch that video where I actually go over this, I will happily link that in the description box for all of you, so you can watch that in your own time. But jokes aside, looking at these two things side by side, the desire to appeal to young men with new written content, new made content, and realizing that race swapping isn't working, and in remakes it's important to stay true to the characters as they originally appeared, it really does seem like something is shifting over at Disney. And
I feel like I've said this a million times, right? Let's say they don't race swap any character upon the remake of an old film. Is that still somehow absolving them of the sin of running out of ideas and only recycling slop and feeding it through a trough to the audiences that have their fucking, hopes up every time and get disappointed every time? I still think that ultimately, with or without race swapping, this company is out of ideas. They need a new IP, and if what was shown is true is that they're looking for a new IP to communicate toward younger men, then it's pretty obvious that, they're running out of hope for their habit of recycling old properties. And I'm sick of looking at it. I'm sick of just thinking like, oh yeah, Disney was cool, but they have to stop recycling old shit. Like they have the money for it. I want to say they have the talent for it. They can produce new content. They can make something original, and they just should.
And although there will be naysayers who say that's not really happening, if we think about it from a real business standpoint and not just an activism standpoint, it makes sense that Disney would be shifting with the times, and times are changing. Everybody is aggressively moving away from wokeism and progressivism. And you guys know this because I have been talking about this a ton on this channel, all of the areas where we are seeing a very aggressive shift away from progressive leftist ideologies and values
it's
and
just
moving
annoying.
more towards the center, or in some cases aggressively swinging to the right. Because we're always on the pendulum, children. Because I have talked about Disney a ton, I'm always reticent to go over all ground, but there are still a few points that I want to...
It is true. We are in a very culturally right-wing time as of right now. And I don't know how long it's going to last. Like, a part of me thinks that some of what was accomplished and maybe what's going to be accomplished culturally, as, you know, we've shifted rightward as a country, will be permanent. But who really knows, right? All you can do is predict. And I don't know. Let's just hope a few things get to stick around. Like, the word retarded was pretty good. Glad that one came back. I use that word almost every single day. And not that when it wasn't in fashion I stopped saying it. I don't really care. But the fact that I now don't have to look around me when I say it is pretty cool, and I'm happy about that. So we'll see, but ultimately when the swing back left does happen, we'll see how far left it will swing back, or we'll see what ends up happening. But the thing is, like, they've given up so much ground, the left culturally, to the right, there where it's like, I don't know if the people on the right are gonna give it up easy. You know, when people start trying to slowly inch back to the left, I think the right will say, no, we give you an inch, you'll take a mile like you have before. We're not going to allow for this, right? So we'll see. We'll have to see. But ultimately, Canada's still fucked. Yeah, well, I mean, that's Canada, bro. But whose fault is that? You live in Canada. I mean, I don't know if you do, but Canada is fucked. I don't know why anyone would willingly live there. I don't know. WestJet lives there. I don't know what the fuck his issue is. He should not live there.
Reiterate, or maybe make for the first time. It's hard to say. So sorry if I'm repeating myself. The news is in fact one giant Groundhog Day.
Don't mess with me, pork chop.
I'm not sure how to word this, so you'll have to bear with me, but I do think it's both hilarious and sad that casting a white actress in the role of Rapunzel would be some sort of pearl-clutching moment for people at the company. Like they're doing something naughty that's gonna get them in trouble. Like they
That's
put their
insane.
little creepy fingers
Literally
in the cookie
insane.
jar while Mother's back was turned and they weren't allowed to do that. I think the thing here is that if the disease of forced diversity has infiltrated your company so much so that you feel weird and not right about casting white women, white actresses into roles that they are appropriate for, and you feel bad about that for reasons.
They hate white people. Like, they're racist against white people. The people at this company who do not want or feel guilty about casting a white woman to play a role that is a white woman are racist. And racist can be a neutral term. When you call something racist, it doesn't always mean bad. I mean it in a bad way, because replacing something that is good for the sole purpose of appearing virtuous makes you a fucking retard, and being a fucking retard is bad. So in this context, being racist is bad, okay? If you're racist in certain circumstances, it's not a bad thing, okay? Because, you know, it can all be circumstantial, right? Not everyone who's racist is bigoted, right? In this case, they're racist because they're fucking retarded. Maybe they're bigoted too. I would assume that's maybe part of it, like a lot of self-hating whites deciding that they want to erase their presence in the movies they've already created in order to signal to black people that they're on their side in the struggle against this invisible oppressor in the year 2025. But regardless, they probably are both. They probably hate white people, and they are also fucking idiots. So yeah, I don't know. Disney might be cooked.
That's a big old problem, kids. Especially given that the fairy tale Rapunzel was originally recorded by the Brothers Grimm, and it was set in Germany.
How is being racist a neutral term? It's either you discriminate against people or you judge them based on their race. Well, the judgment thing is why it's neutral, because you can sometimes judge people on their race in a way that doesn't negatively affect them, right? Like, you can judge white people for being predominantly the makers of like rock music or emo music, but that's not like a hateful thing, right? Like that's sort of what I'm saying. Like discrimination in many senses isn't bad at all, but I think when people discriminate based on race, it's neutral depending on it can be neutral. When people say you're racist, like it's always, you're trained to believe it's bad, but realistically, if you're discriminating based on race, it actually depends on whether it's bad or not, right? Like, because it's not like if you are saying like, okay, well, you know, this person is white, they've probably have had this experience before because they're white. Well, you've profiled them based on their race. Is that a bad thing? Maybe, because you might be wrong about the profiling, but it depends. But it's like me saying black people are more intelligent. Would you say that's racist? Well, no. I mean, yeah, actually, yes, I would, because you're taking a group of you're taking a racial group and you are discriminating against them with a trait that is improperly applied. Yeah.
And originally published in the early 1800s. Ergo, she is white, and yes, she is blonde. Because, you know, that part is very explicitly stated. I was gonna torture you all once again by horrifically mispronouncing this fairy tale's original title, but I think the original title is actually just Rapunzel, so, no weird German out of me today. I had a bunch of Germans in my comments a couple months back when I tried to say Snow White in the original German as the original German title, and so many people just said, I don't know what this is. Please never do that again. But I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it correctly. Are you ready? You better be ready. Hold on.
Okay, well, I don't know if we're ready for this, but anyway, just to add one more thing to what I was saying before. Like, since we're talking about white women, right? Let's say that you're going to meet somebody who you know is a white woman, but you haven't met them yet. And so you play Taylor Swift in your car in order to maybe see if they like it, or because you assume they might enjoy it because they're a white woman. That is technically racist, but it's not bad. You know, it's like, what, have you done something bad? Not really.
Hold your butt.
Schneewittchen.
Schneewittchen. So you almost have to sound like you have a lisp.
Schneewittchen.
What is that?
Schneewittchen.
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 Perfect. This is insane and bizarre. I don't know how any of you speak this language. Anyway, back to Rapunzel. Even Disney originally designed the character as white, which makes sense given everything here. And as most of you probably know by now, I personally am a stickler for adaptations that stay true to characters, their appearances, their personalities, their behaviors. It's not very frequent or often that I think that big changes to a character actually work. I mean, sometimes they do, but, you know, not really all that often. And I think goes to show that when Disney stays true to their original source material, films do really well. Because as I have said previously, a remake comes with a certain set of expectations, and there's a tremendous amount of disappointment that comes up when those expectations aren't met. For example, the 2015 Cinderella remake with
it's like when people say, look what they've done, you know, they massacred my boy. It's just true. Because it's not just that you're making something bad, it's that you're making something that was once good, bad, right? People will always be more offended when you ruin something than when you make something new that is shit.
Lily James did pretty well. And a lot of you, it's so funny, whenever I talk about this, a lot of you get in my comments and are like, you know, Sydney, the Cinderella remake wasn't so bad. And actually, part of the reason why we liked it is because it wasn't, you know, a shot for shot. It really expanded on the Cinderella storyline in a great way.
I didn't watch this.
I agree with you. I do think there are better remakes, but I'm glad that you guys like this one. Point being here, she was blonde, blue dress, glass slippers, the whole package, and the film ended up grossing $540 million because it gave fans the magic that they were sort of expecting. And I know that a lot of people liked that, like I said, it built on her story and also the story with the prince and gave him a little bit more dimension, which is missing from the original animated film. Same with the recent Lilo and Stitch film, which I know disappointed a ton of people because of the storyline. And, you know, full disclosure, I haven't seen Lilo and Stitch, so I'm not really going to comment on this because I don't know. But I know that the film did do insanely well at the box office. And despite there being criticisms of the characters, particularly like Nani, I do think that they look pretty good, all things considered. Compare this to Snow White, which lost $300 million, or The Little Mermaid, which barely...
I feel like I covered this, but I didn't remember it being that much.
To Snow White, which lost $300 million.
Bro, Disney, if you want to make a donation of $300 million, I'll take it.
or The Little Mermaid, which barely hit 570 million, way less than Aladdin and The Lion King,
Nice.
which stuck closer to their roots. I think the thing here is that fans...
Passion isn't allowed in movies because it doesn't give the shareholders profit. The issue is that it's clearly that making stuff with no passion also doesn't give the shareholders profit. Because we just heard that it lost $300 million. It's this soulless dog shit. So it's like, they're not making money off that either.
Are not dumb for the most part, and we know when a company's pandering. And when said company keeps changing a character's core traits, the audience stops trusting them. Because it's like, what's next? Is Simba going to be a chihuahua? I will also reiterate for the 4 millionth time that it is insane that it took Disney this long to admit that it's actually bad to hire people based on diversity alone and to kind of be subversive and put people in positions where they don't make sense because you're trying to push an
Yeah, they don't think it's bad because it's actually bad. They think it's bad because it doesn't work for them and growing their movies and getting good feedback. That's why it's bad.
Agenda, rather than hiring those people because they are great at what they do, it's merit-based, or they just happen to suit a role and they're also a good actor or actress. Hiring Rachel Zegler for diversity points is basically what capsized the film. She turned out to be insufferable and has tainted everything about this. That and the storyline made absolutely...
Everyone said that she looked like Lord Farquaad, and looking back, they were totally right. Holy fuck. This is crazy. Literally, it's a 1-to-1 cut. You know how women who are jealous of prettier girls tell them to cut their hair shorter because they think that by removing one of their good features, it'll bring them down to their level? Like they're trying to ugly them so they're on the same level. I feel like she's a victim of that. She would probably look okay with a decent/better hairstyle.
No sense, but
I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, women do that. I mean, you can look it up. It's like very attractive women are told more often to cut their hair shorter than ugly women are.
you know, that's okay. That's very...
Oh my god, this fucking clip.
2025 coded. I also don't know how anybody can argue that it is not in fact discriminatory and racist to us pale-skinned folk, while also being bigoted towards minorities for forcing them to believe that they can't get roles or get ahead in this industry without preferential treatment.
This is what I'm saying, right? Saying bigoted, I think, is more accurate than saying racist, because racism can be discriminating based on race, which can be done in a way that isn't bigoted.
Movies with non-white people do well. This is it's not that deep or complicated. Mulan, classic film. They screwed up the remake because of course they did, and they removed my boy Shang, but that doesn't matter. The original Mulan did insanely well. Lilo and Stitch recently did insanely well despite the various obvious issues with the movie. There's a bunch of these things that have happened. Moana.
But the problem is that people are so used to saying racist in place of bigoted that it's not changing anytime soon, right? And it's more often used to describe bigotry than it is just general racial discrimination, so it makes sense.
Another one, great film, did extremely well. I'm sure that the remake, I'm pretty sure they're doing a remake, that's gonna do
Moana?
Probably extremely well. The race swapping is unnecessary, and it really seems like Disney is finally cottoning onto that fact, even if they're cottoning onto it under duress. Like I have
Stupid ass bitch with that big ass mole thinking she could be a Disney princess.
said a number of times in the past, and honestly, like, basically everybody who talks about film and entertainment and whatnot has also said, people are right now dying for fresh new content. They are dying for new and interesting and well-written stories. Well-written is very important. They want to see movies that are doing something new. They don't just want to see endless remakes and reboots and sequels.
Yeah,
and here's the kicker.
exactly.
Here's the thing that apparently the
She's
entertainment
totally
industry
right.
doesn't seem to understand. People don't care if the lead of that movie or those movies is black or white or Asian or a
Make it
bag of
fresh.
sand. They don't care. So long as it's good. But as long
That's
as
true.
Disney in particular, because obviously Disney's a really big player, is determined to keep giving us remakes, then personally I'm really glad that they have finally realized that giving us race-swapped characters and DEI initiatives and basically butchering stories is just not going to fly anymore with audiences. And again, and I feel like this is fairly obvious, there is a big distinction between taking that which already exists and making it better, like Disney did with Cinderella. A lot of people seem to think and believe that. That sounded like I was throwing shade at you guys. I'm really not. I'm really glad that you liked it, and I agree. I think that building on, you know, the princess storyline was a good thing. Anyway, there's a big difference between doing that and taking that which already exists and going haywire with it. Unfortunately, I really do think that navigating the world of remakes will...
This is also why video game movies historically have performed so bad, because they take something that people like a video game, and they just sort of mutate it into something that is nothing like the original. And in the ways that it is like the original, it's in a weird and perverted way that is like kind of disgusting and makes people like upset, right? And there's many instances of this. I mean, most video game movies have done bad historically, and the ones that do well, they take mostly just like aspects of the game, like the characters and the graphics and, you know, like the scenery and the map design, and then they go from like they go from scratch in terms of like the plot, like the Mario Bros movie. Like that's a good example of one that did really well. Like, let's look at this. So this came out in 2023, right? And what did it get? It got like a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is still considered fresh, right? It's not rotten. And 60%, I mean, it's for like a kid's movie too, so the plot's not going to be incredible. And then 7 out of 10 on IMDb. I mean, I think it was a good movie, and it performed very well. So yeah, like the OG Mario movie, yeah, that's one of them. I mean, if you just look like video game movies, there's plenty of them. Most of them are shit. I mean, the Minecraft movie was also not good, but people liked it for like the memes. So yeah.
Always be hard because there are so many potholes to step in. There are so many faux pas to be made. And even when a remake is executed as well as it possibly could be, people are often still quite unhappy. So couple this very clear reality with the fact that Disney is intent on pushing this DEI agenda, and I really do hate the term DEI, but I think it applies here. It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. However, I am glad that they're finally seeing that. I'm glad that hopefully they are realizing that this is a losing issue, that we are moving very much away from all the things that they've been trying to do over the last number of years. And if they stay on their current trajectory of all of the weird tolerance and representation and unnecessary race swapping, it's probably not going to do them so well as time goes on.
Well, it hasn't so far, so I don't see what will change.
In the end, I am extremely interested, and I'm not just saying that, I really mean it. I am extremely interested to see what Disney does going forward as wokeness falls away, as it realizes that many of its initiatives just don't hit with audiences anymore, and as times really do start to change. Now,
it's not like social progressivism, though. It's like specifically just like remakes with race swapping and DEI. Like social progressivism can have some good things, part of it. Like when it is pushed and when it is brought to the mainstream, there are certain conversations that get open that are actually beneficial, right? And that's the case, I think, with a lot of political stuff. But specifically the stuff that people don't want is just like remake slop with DEI shit in it. It's really just that simple. And if they don't do that, then it's fine. I'm sure there's a lot of shit that's in their movies already that is like woke in some way. Like, you know, strong female leads and whatever. Like that's woke by some people's standards, but that's not the issue, right? They just need to do what the issue is. They need to do that. Like, fix that.
On that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out my little tea company, Lions Tea Exchange.
Well, anyway, yeah, I mean, very good video. I'm glad that they're realizing that they need white people, because specifically if all they're going to do is make remakes, then a lot of the remakes that, you know, the originals based, or that's, I'm brain fucking short-circuiting. A lot of what they're going to remake, the lead character is a white person, so replacing them would not be good. But anyway, yeah, Sydney Watson's great video.